Well, today's projects, I'm going to use all these items here, and it'll turn into 3 separate pieces, and they should be rather simple and easy to do, and it should be a cute little vignette. So I'm going to get started on it. Now for the first project in this, I am going to, well, I've taken 2 Jenga blocks and stained them just on the parts that's going to show. These are some that I got a sack full. These are an actual Jenga block. I got them at the thrift store. First time I think I've used them. But I do have some from Dollar Tree, but they're down further down in the drawer, and these were on top, so I grabbed them. You can use either one. And I want this little sign here to be able to set like that. So I am going to take some of my, I got some cardboard here. And I'm just going to take my pencil. Okay, I want it probably about like that. Getting out of frame. Well, I have that drawn right there. That will probably work. I must have done that. I don't remember. Yep, okay. I'm going to cut that out. Set that aside. Let's see if that's... I'm going to cut just a little bit off the... If I lay that like that, and this is there... It's going to be glued together. I got it upside down. You can see the Jenga on there. I did sand that down with my little finger sander, just on the top pieces. And that's going to be glued, and that way there is just a small... Okay, that's not deep enough. What I'm going to do, and I want it kind of at an angle like this. I'm going to cut a little bit more off and then kind of come in at an angle. We'll see if that works. If it doesn't work, I have more cardboard. Okay, lay that there, put that together. And that works. It kind of puts it at a slight angle. And it holds it up. Okay, so that's where I'm going to glue my cardboard. I'm just using I don't know, this may be, it's just a glue. Doesn't matter. It's going to be cardboard on wood. Put that there. And then put some glue on this. I'll put a little extra glue on that since that's slick. Line those up straight and make sure I have the sides that I need that's coated with the wax, antiquing wax. And I'm going to let that dry before I mess with it anymore. But I am going to turn it that way so it's even. Let me see. Yep, that works. Okay. Set that aside, let it dry. Then I'm going to take my card. Get this back out of my way and close it up. Of course, distress it a little bit. Go around the edges. It's still awful dark. Just run it around just where it's got a little something to it. All right, that is good. And now that is actually finished. And the reason I didn't paint these little blocks or anything, like I'm going to use this right now for Patriotic decor, but if I want to use it for something else, I don't want it like red or blue or anything. Now, that's the way it's going to look. I'm going to set that aside and now start on this. I went and got first off, I got a peat pot that you use for planting. And I thought, well, I have those little terracotta pots that I got at the thrift store also. I think I'll use one of those. And then I had a spindle, and I've cut it down to size, and I sanded this. So I'm probably going to put antiquing wax on that to start with. It was just too dark and shiny. It just wasn't fitting for what I was wanting. Let's see how this works, how it looks. I don't need my cardboard. See if that's the look I want. I may end up painting it. I don't know. Yeah, I like that. It's dull. It's not shiny. Okay, I'll finish that. And then it has some little darker where I didn't get all the other stain off. But how it's going to look on the top, though, because it had a hole in it, and I filled it in with some spackling. Now, here's the top. And you can see the white. Yeah, it's going to be all right. It might show a little bit, but that's fine. Yeah, now my handle's ready. So when I want to put that on my bell, I can. Now, I am going to do a patriotic bell, so I'm going to get out some red and blue and probably this cream here. It's an antique white. And I'm going to start painting this like a bell. Now, to start with, I'm going to do English Navy. And I'm going to paint the top. And this English Navy, I don't know why, it just does not coat well. My Admiral Blue by Apple Barrel coats well. But it's not really the blue I want. Let's see, I want that a little thicker. And I will have to give this 2 coats. All right. And now I'm going to paint this too. And then I'll probably let this dry good and do some red and cream on the in here. And I don't know if I'm going to go around or stripe it. Now on this one, I'm just going to go, I'm striping around with Tuscan Red by Apple Barrel. And then I'll do an antique white. And then I'll come back here with the Tuscan Red. But I've got to really pay attention to what I'm doing, trying to get that straight. Now I'm just going to put on some clear wax. I went ahead and glued the handle on, hot glued it. I'm going to wipe this back, and then I'm going to try going around the edges with some, what did I do with my little packet? Distress ink. Now wipe that all back and get my distress ink. Okay, I'm using the one I normally use with my distress ink, and I didn't even dip it in that. There's still some on it, so I'm just going to go around the white marks and in between these. Go around the edges here. I think I need a little more for that. All right, that's one around that way. Now right through here. Call that good for distressing just a little bit. Now with my little bell, I glued that jingle bell type thing on there, and I'm just gonna put a little bow on it. And I made some little tags that says "Let Freedom Ring." They're little bitty. I've used one of those, trying to figure out where to put it. Think about just like that. I'm going to put it on first because I do want it to angle out. And then my bow. That's not too big. And there's the Let Freedom Ring and a little bell. I'm going to trim this down some. Okay, now I have my bell finished. And on my 1776, the blocks on this, I thought it looked a little plain. And I glued a star on there, a metal star. So those two are finished. And now I'm going to move on to my spring. I'll set those aside. And with these, I've decided, I'm through with all those. Throw those in the trash. But I've decided to take my stars, and I'm going to put a print on them. And I've already covered one side. Let's see, is that plugged in? Yeah, I turn my little iron on. But I'm going to, I've covered my little stars with Mod Podge and let it dry. And I've got to decide think like that. So I want to cut that apart so I can iron that on my stars. Can't go up that way. Just go right there. Okay, I can cut my paper like that. Now I'm going to cut this out, and I'm waiting on my iron to heat up, and I'm going to iron those on to the star. And I did get this print, I believe, on Creative Fabrica. All right, this is ready to be pressed on there, and I don't want to move it, so I am going to just do a little bit and then cover the whole thing. Make sure it's working. Yes, it is. Okay, now I can cover the whole thing and iron it all on. I think that's probably enough. I hope. It is. So I will cut this down, and then I'll go along there with my finger sander. Get right up to that. I'm gonna go ahead and iron the other one off before my little iron shuts down. Okay, set that aside. Let's get this where we want it. Gotta make sure everything's covered. Oh, got to go this way to cover all the points. Okay, they're all covered. I am on the Mod Podge site. Yes, I am. I have to check. All right. All right, that's all on there good. And I'll do the same thing, cut this down. And I'll get my finger sander. And start sanding my paper off my star. And I don't want to do it all on camera because it's noisy. But I'm just doing this. And of course, you know, I've got to distress it some, right? It just brings the star out. That looks so much better like that than it does just plain. Now, I'm going to finish this up. This is one of the flags that I got at the at Hobby Lobby, and I just took my coffee, my instant coffee and water, and it has some cinnamon in it, but I didn't dip down in there where the cinnamon was, and coated it with that and took them outside and let them dry. And that's going to go in there, but I'm trying to figure out how I want my stars to set in my rusty spring. I think about like they fit comfortably in there like that, but can I get them back down in there if I glue them? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave that one like that. And put a hot glue there. And get that glued together. Okay, I really want it more. I think like that because it's hot glued. And now I'll stick my flag down in there, and I just put it on a piece on a skewer, and I waxed it, you know, stained it because I didn't like the plastic sticks they were on. And I think that will be fine, except I think that to kind of stay like that. Let's see if I can hit that with some hot glue and hold that where my flag will stay like that. Okay. And then I took my Bowdabra and I just put the strips in there straight and tied them all together. And I am going to put that, I think, right there, because I kind of want some of the spring to show. And I'm running out of hot glue. Never fails. All right, now I'm going to put that right there, and I'll have to hold that for a bit. And this old rusty spring is now a Patriotic spring. And I'm going to put these three things kind of together in like a vignette.